You're born a girl in a village where the priest already thinks you're trouble. Not because you've done anything, just because you exist, with a body men don't understand, and a mother who talks to herbs like they're listening. Welcome to Europe, where being female is basically a pre existing condition. Age 5, you learn your first lesson. Don't look people in the eye too long. Don't ask too many questions. Don't be the only one who survives when the fever sweeps through. Your neighbor's baby dies of croup. Yours doesn't. Suddenly, you're not lucky, you're suspicious. Your mother teaches you which plants stop bleeding, which ones bring down a fever, which ones a desperate woman asks for when she's missed her courses twice and can't feed the children she already has. Knowledge passed mother to daughter for 100 years. Useful. Quiet. Deadly if the wrong person hears about it. By 10, you're the village's unofficial nurse. Cows get sick, you're called. Milk curdles, you're blamed. Somebody's husband can't get it up anymore, guess whose door gets a dead crow nailed to it? You heal them, and they thank you with one side of their mouth and cross themselves with the other. Your father died 2 winters ago, which means you and your mother are widows without a man to vouch for you. That's not just sad, that's a liability. No husband means no protection, no defender if a neighbor decides to point a finger. In this world, being alone is basically wearing a target. Age 13, the whispers start having a shape. Witch. Not said to your face, said behind you into cupped hands, dissolving the second you turn around. You start walking the long way around the well. You start flinching at black cats, at spilled salt, at your own shadow, because apparently your shadow can be evidence now. Then the harvest fails. Somebody's cow drops dead. A child in the next village gets sick and doesn't get better. And somebody, somewhere, remembers your name. A traveling pamphlet arrives in town around this time, printed with woodcuts of women flying on broomsticks and kissing the devil's backside as a sign of loyalty. Nobody in the village can read it, but everyone's seen the pictures. Fear doesn't need literacy. It just needs an image that sticks. Age 17, they come for you at dawn. No trial yet, just hands, rope, and a churchman with kind eyes and a job to do. They don't need proof. They need a confession. And Europe has spent 3 centuries perfecting exactly how to get one. First, they strip you and search for the devil's mark. A mole, a birthmark, a patch of skin that doesn't bleed when pricked because the examiner's needle happens to be retractable, a little trick of the trade. Surprise, you fail your own body's exam. Then comes the swimming test. They bind your thumbs to your toes and throw you in the river. Float, and you're guilty. The water rejected you, a servant of God. Sink, and congratulations, you're innocent. Assuming someone pulls you out before you drown, which they often don't bother to rush. You float. Of course you float. You're a person made of fat and air tied into a ball. The physics were never on your side, and neither was anyone else. Now the real interrogation starts. Sleep deprivation first, gentle by their standards. Days without rest until your mind starts handing them whatever they want, just to make the voices stop. Then the thumbscrews, the strappado, the boot that slowly crushes your leg to pulp, one turn at a time. They don't want the truth. They want the story that fits. And eventually you give it to them, because pain is a very persuasive editor. You confess. Yes, you flew on a broomstick. Yes, you danced naked with the devil under the full moon. Yes, you cursed the cow, soured the milk, killed the neighbor's child with a look. None of it happened, but the words come out anyway, because your shoulders are on fire, and your interrogator is patient, and you are so tired. And here's the part that should make your blood run cold. They ask you for names. Who else was there? Who else flew with you? And you give them names too, because the pain doesn't stop until you do. And somewhere out there, another woman is about to have her door kicked in because you screamed the wrong syllable at the wrong moment. That's the machine. It doesn't need witches. It just needs confessions. And confessions make more confessions. And the list never runs out until somebody decides it's convenient to stop. Interrogators keep tallies, like tradesmen keeping accounts. So many confessions this season, so many names produced, a grim little ledger of who gets to live another winter. You're held in a cell that smells like rot and old fear, waiting for your trial, which isn't really a trial. It's a formality with a foregone conclusion already written in the judge's expression. There's no lawyer for your defense. In some courts, simply agreeing to defend an accused witch is enough to get you accused right alongside her, so nobody volunteers. The town gathers. They always gather. Nothing pulls a crowd like watching someone else burn instead of them. Somebody's cousin sells meat pies to the crowd. It's basically a festival, except you're the main course. The priest offers you one last chance to repent, which is generous of him, considering he's the one lighting the fire. The smoke gets you before the flames usually do, if you're lucky. If you're not, you feel every second of it, and the crowd cheers, and somewhere in the back, a little girl watches and learns the same lesson you learned at 5. Don't stand out. Don't be different. Don't survive the fever when your neighbor's baby doesn't. Across Europe, this happens again and again for 3 centuries. Not medieval superstition dying out in the Dark Ages, like people assume. This peaks disturbingly late, well into the age of science and reason. Judges in powdered wigs signing death warrants for old women who muttered the wrong prayer over a sick pig. Somewhere between 40 and 60,000 people are executed for witchcraft across Europe over this period. The overwhelming majority of them women, poor, widowed, midwives, healers, the ones with no husband to speak for them and no coin to bribe their way out. It was never really about the devil. It was about who society could afford to blame when the harvest failed, and nobody wanted to say it was just bad luck. Here's the head spinner. The last legal witch execution in Europe happens in Switzerland in 1782. Not medieval times, not the Dark Ages. Close enough that a person born the same year could have lived to see the invention of the telephone. A woman named Anna Goldie is tortured into confessing to poisoning a child with pins and executed for it, in a country that today ranks among the safest, wealthiest places on Earth. 200 years later, the government finally admits it was a judicial murder. 200 years is a long time to wait for an apology nobody living can hear.